Hey guys, Corell Cooper with OnTheBlack.com. So the Mets have signed Gary Sheffield to a one-year deal for $400,000. There's been a lot of talk about whether or not this was a good move for the Mets or not. So in this post here, what I wanted to give you guys was some pros and cons to the move and do a little analysis of the Gary Sheffield signing. So let's look at some of the pros to the signing of Gary Sheffield by the Mets. One, the Mets were lacking some power from the right-hand side of the plate. This move could address this. Now, obviously Sheffield is going to have a better year than he had last year, but if he does, this could address the needs that the Mets have from the right side of the plate. Also, Sheffield is a fiery type of player. In my opinion, the Mets are a little bit too laid back as a team, and they lack a little fire. Sometimes they lack a little heart as well too, and I think Sheffield is the type of guy that can light a fire under some of the players, and he really plays hard and he goes after it every single day. Another reason why I like this move is because it really is a low risk when you look at the amount of money that the Mets will be paying Sheffield. $400,000. So if Sheffield does become a quote-unquote cancer in the clubhouse, it will be that much easier for the Mets to release him if he becomes a problem, because the money is only $400,000. Another reason why I like this deal and I consider this a pro is that the Phillies were interested in Sheffield, and if anything, this keeps Sheffield away from the Phillies. So I think that's a pro too. The Phillies are obviously the team to beat in the East. They're the World Series champs, and they're the Mets' #1 rival right now. And if you look at it from that standpoint, they kept Sheffield away from the Phillies. So I think that's a good thing as well. So those are some of the pros that I see with the signing of Gary Sheffield. So let's discuss some of the negatives or some of the cons about the Gary Sheffield signing. One, and the most obvious one to me, is defensively. I think we will see Sheffield either in a platoon situation with Ryan Church, or just playing right field more than he would left. I have a feeling that the Mets are going to want to leave Murphy out there and left, let him play as much as he could possibly play and come into his own. So with that said, you could have an experienced left fielder out there in Murphy, and then also Gary Sheffield, who's not the best defensive player out in right. That means to me that Carlos Beltran has a lot of ground to cover out there in the outfields, with the two corner outfields being defensive liabilities. So that's a concern. Also another concern is, Sheffield isn't going to play every single day. So how will he handle sort of this different role than he's used to handling his whole career? Some might think that he may start to complain if he's not in the lineup every day, or become a cancer in the clubhouse, if you will. I look at it like this. I want a player on my team that A, wants to play all the time, and B, wants to win. And I think that's what Gary Sheffield wants to do. Whenever you've heard him complain in the past or speak out in the media, it's because either he's not playing or his team's not winning. So I have no problem with that. I have no problem with having a fiery guy on the Mets. I think that the Mets have lacked someone with fire in the past, and so I think he'll be good for the team. Also, I'm concerned about what the impact on guys like Ryan Church and Fernando Tatis will be, because obviously now Church is probably not going to play every day. Tatis was probably going to be the #1 pinch hitter off the bench, and that may change somewhat too. So how their roles will be defined. So I think those are some of the negatives or causes for concern with the Gary Sheffield signing. So overall, I think that this was a good signing by the Mets. I've thought that the Mets have needed more power from the right-hand side of the plate. If Sheffield has a better year than he had last year, he will give the Mets a boost offensively. Unfortunately, I think that the guys that are going to suffer from this the most are probably going to be Nick Evans and Marlon Anderson. One of those two guys were probably going to go when Livan Hernandez joined the team. But now with Sheffield there, I think it might be safe to assume that both Marlon Anderson and Nick Evans won't be on the big team for that much longer. But overall, I think that this was a good signing by the Mets. I hope that it works out well for the team and that Sheffield can really help the Mets throughout the season and hopefully win the NL East again. Would love to hear what you guys think. Leave a comment. Let me know. Talk to you soon.